Hey everybody, it's your boy Chris Avalon here, coming at you with the latest in entertainment news and all the things you may have missed throughout the past week. Usually I do a podcast every Saturday from 2 to 4 on alldigitalradio.com. That's usually weekly. But now that I've got a lot of time on my hands due to you know who wreaking havoc on a lot of our lives and our jobs and this, that, and the third, I've decided that I'm going to start doing a lot more videos. So when a lot of stuff comes out that needs to be talked about, I'm definitely going to get right into it and give my opinions on it. And also feel free to leave your comments and your thoughts on the following topics at the bottom in the comment section. And also feel free to follow me on a lot of my social media platforms, which I will post at the bottom of this following video. My Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get right into it because I want to keep everybody here for a long period of time and then we run out of video and all other stuff. So I want to keep everything as short and sweet as possible. So let's talk about the first topic that I really wanted to get into was the fact that Warner Brothers has decided to postpone the Batman movie in regards of moving it. So originally it was supposed to come out in, I believe, June of 2021, but now it's been moved to October. So now it's going to come out around October 1st of 2021 instead of its original date, which was supposed to be, now that I'm looking at it, because I have to have my notes on the side, June 25th. I actually think this is good news because October, I think, is a really good time to release a movie like The Batman. I know normally everybody would say, like, yeah, let's move it to the summer because big blockbuster action movie. Let's move it to the summer. But I'm like, October might be a cool thing. Number one, I'm hearing like this movie is going to be darker than what we've seen. We're going to get more of the detective side of Batman. I'm really hoping that the rumors are true, that we're going to see, this is going to have elements of the Long Halloween in it. I don't know if necessarily that's true or not, but I'm hearing that it's going to be thrown up in there. I'm looking forward to that. Also, they've moved other movies as well. There's Shazam 2, which stars Zachary Levi in a title role, is being pushed from April 1st, 2022 to November 4th, 2022. And the Flash movie, which still stars Ezra Miller, and if you guys have been paying attention to what's going on in the entertainment in regards of him going over to, where's Bjork from? Iceland. I was about to say Ireland. um, um, when he was over in Iceland at a bar and then he wound up getting into a scuffle and he slammed a woman on the floor. I thought initially it was a joke, but come to find out that it wasn't. They're still moving forward with this movie, and Ezra Miller is still playing the Flash, and I don't know what's going to go on. And maybe Warner Brothers is hoping this all blows over and people move on from it, and it's not going to be a big deal, and we'll still want him in there. Personally, I like Ezra Miller, and I don't know necessarily what Warner Brothers is going to do about this whole situation. But to be honest, I don't even think the Flash is going to get made. We've been waiting far too long for this damn movie. Now it's supposed to be coming out on June 3rd, 2022, when it was initially supposed to come out July 1st, 2022. So it's actually been moved up a month, which I think is good. But at this point, do we even really need a Flash movie? I mean, we have the CW show on TV, and I have a love-hate relationship with that show. But overall, like most of the Greg Berlanti CW shows, I have a love-hate relationship with them. 1 minute you're on the right track, and then y'all kind of deviate off the rails, and I have to be like screaming at my damn TV. But yeah, so now that's supposed to be happening. Now the real big question is, October of next year is going to be insane. Number one, we have 3 big movies coming out within a week of each other. So now that the Batman has been moved to October 1st, now we have the following week, which is October 8th, we actually have the Uncharted movie coming out. And then after that, what was the other one? We have Halloween Ends, which is the 3rd chapter in this, in David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy, is coming out on the 15th. So, yeah, I don't know necessarily how they're going to work this out. And in my opinion, out of all the 3 who I think should move, out of all 3 of the movies, I think Uncharted should move. And I'll tell you why. Number one, I'm not really that set on Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake. For some reason, I don't see it. I get maybe because Hollywood wants someone who is in his early 20s playing the character, so that way they can keep the franchise going with like 8 or 9 movie sequels or whatever, because they're always thinking ahead instead of, you know what, let's focus on making a really good movie and seeing how it works before we decide to attach 5 sequels to it. And in my opinion, it's just like, why not just take the time to actually perfect the film and make sure we have a really good script, really good action set pieces. Because to be honest, a lot of superhero movies that are based, well, not superhero, I'm sorry, a lot of video games that are turned into movies, 9 times out of 10, they aren't really good. I like the very first Resident Evil till all of a sudden they started going science fiction and became like this one big action movie franchise, and it got ridiculous and started ripping off The Matrix and started ripping off Mad Max and started ripping off all these other franchises. Then I absolutely loved Mortal Kombat. Hated the second one. Um, but I am looking forward to the new Mortal Kombat that's coming out. That's supposed to be coming out in January of 2021. So I need to see a trailer for that to even come to the conclusion whether or not that movie is actually going to be put in the same league as the original 1995 film that I still hold dear and is currently on Netflix. If y'all definitely want to check out Mortal Kombat, if you've never seen it or if you're a fan and you want to watch it over and over and over again, it's definitely on Netflix. Go check it out. So yeah, so we really don't have a good track record on video game movies. So I'm not necessarily 110%. I mean, they haven't even started shooting this movie yet. They were about to start shooting, from what I heard, until, this virus came along and everything had to get shut down. So I'm not even sure if Uncharted is going to be a good movie. So on the strength of video game movies not having the greatest of track records, I'm going to go on and say Uncharted needs to move, because give the Batman time to make its money. Halloween Ends. This is the closing chapter, so we definitely want to see that showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, which I hear that she doesn't have that big of a role in the second one that's supposed to be coming out, which is Halloween Kills. That's going to be like the big, bloody, brutal one, where pretty much I think the whole town's going to go after Michael Myers. He's going to be just killing people like he's a damn Terminator. So that I'm looking forward to, and they're bringing back a lot of iconic characters in that one. So I think because this is the third chapter in the finale, and everybody wants to see how it all comes together, and will Laurie Strode finally kill Michael, or will she wind up dying, and this, that, and the other. So there's so many. This is the end of the trilogy. More people are gonna come out for that and take more of a chance on that and the Batman, because Batman has such a history with us that we love all the Batman movies. We're going to focus on that more than we're going to focus on Uncharted. Uncharted, unfortunately, is going to be the sacrificial lamb. It's getting the short end of the stick, so I think it needs to move. Maybe move it to the end of October, or maybe to November, or possibly 2022. Maybe you can move it there. I don't know. So we'll just see how that all, move it to the following year that is supposed to come out. I don't necessarily know. We'll just have to I'll keep you guys abreast of that as it develops. But in my opinion, I just think that Halloween Ends and the Batman has a better chance of succeeding over Uncharted. So I think Uncharted should move. Now, there was another story that I thought was really interesting in regards of Batman and the whole franchise, is that Darren Aronofsky, who directed films like Pi and another movie that a lot of people found polarizing, I think that was his last movie that he directed, was Mother, or as some people go, Mother. But anyway, Darren Aronofsky came out and said that he was supposed to direct a Batman film before Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, and revealed that he wanted Joaquin Phoenix to play Batman, but the studio wanted Freddie Prinze Jr. to play the Batman. And I have to say, I can't see either. Like, I like Joaquin Phoenix, and Joaquin Phoenix was like a big time actor at the time. I think around that time he had just come off of playing in The Gladiator, which I loved him in that freaking movie. Like, Joaquin Phoenix is one of like my favorite character actors. I won't say of all time, because of all time is basically like he is above everybody else. But he is one of my favorite character actors, and I definitely loved him as the Joker in the standalone film. Although I did find parts of the Joker movie that I liked and I didn't like. Overall, I loved his performance, and he deserved the Oscar. But seeing Freddie Prinze Jr., I think people chose the studios wanted him is because he had just come off of She's All That. That was a huge film. He was doing a lot of the teen rom-coms, and he was also a part of I Know What You Did Last Summer and that horrible ass sequel with Brandy. I love Brandy, but that sequel was a mess. The story made no sense. They started putting on that stupid, scary music for no reason, and the kills were even mediocre. So I still Know What You Did Last Summer, but I love the original. but I hate the sequel. But seeing Freddie Prinze Jr., I had no idea he was a martial artist, so they wanted to put him in that. And then plus, this was him coming high off of like, his career and everything. So yeah, they wanted Buffy's husband to play Batman. And honestly, I don't see it. Like, I don't see um Joaquin Phoenix. So to me, putting him in that, it was like, no, I don't see it. And I'm glad they didn't go along with it, that they scrapped that whole idea altogether, and then we just moved on with Christopher Nolan's Batman, which of course we got with Christian Bale. And I loved Christian Bale in the film. However, my issues with Christopher Nolan's films was that he focused a little too much on Bruce Wayne and there wasn't enough Batman. So I'm hoping with the Batman that we're getting, that we will get to see a lot more of the detective and a little less of Bruce Wayne. Like, we can get a little Bruce Wayne here and there if he's got to do business, whatever, or he's got to run around and be in the suit and all this other mess. But I really want to see more action. I want to see a lot more of the Batman kicking butt, being a detective, being the smart guy that he is, using those gadgets. And I'm hoping that with the fight sequences that we get a lot of kind of that John Wick, the raid style of fighting. So I'm hoping that we can kind of get that, kind of what we got a little bit of when we saw Batfleck in Batman v Superman. That fight scene alone is like one of my favorite parts of that movie. So I'm hoping we get a lot more of that in this upcoming film. Now we can move on from that and talk about the whole Babyface Teddy Riley versus showdown. So the rematch happened yesterday, because after, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, or have been living under a rock, but if you have, I will give you a quick synopsis. So, Teddy Riley and Babyface were supposed to meet up and do this show called Versus, which is an Instagram show that has been put together by Timbaland and Alicia Keys' husband. Swizz Beatz, I almost forgot his name, but it just came to me. I said Alicia Keys' husband. But anyway, so yeah, they put this thing together where basically producers battle each other amongst, whose hit was better, or I'm gonna put this hit up against this hit. So they were supposed to do it weeks ago, but Babyface wound up getting the Rona. So they had to wait until he got better. And then so Saturday, right after I had did my podcast, a couple hours later, they did the thing online. First of all, it was a hot ass mess. Babyface came with just him in the studio and with the songs. Teddy Riley came with a full-on production, and it was a hot ass mess. He was having technical difficulties. We were having a hard time hearing what was going on in Teddy Riley's studio. It was just a full-on mess. And the fans were getting frustrated. People who were watching were getting frustrated. Celebrities were getting frustrated. Yeah, I caught them reads that Tony and Tamar and a bunch of people were putting out there, and they were funny. Like, Twitter was lit with a lot of the gifs and the memes and all this stuff, and I was reposting and cackling and laughing and stuff. So I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be a hot ass mess. I'm not trying to see this rematch. But I watched the rematch yesterday, and the rematch, I will say, was much better. The rematch was much better, but there was still some technical difficulties on Teddy Riley's part. There was problems. He kept getting up for some reason and running around. Then he wound up, he was looking for the charger for his phone. People started calling him, oh, well, what's going on with your Cricket phone, your Boost Mobile, you ain't pay your phone bill. Like, there was so much shade going around. And I did like the fact that Teddy Riley, got rid of all the excess stuff and just basically started doing what Babyface did. He played the music. But I did catch the shade that Teddy Riley, well, not Teddy Riley, I'm sorry, that Babyface was throwing, where he basically was, he would throw like little dabs at Teddy Riley. And the one that made me laugh the most was when Teddy Riley started playing a remix of one of his songs, and Babyface was like, well, I didn't know that remixes were allowed. And then he was like, well, that's fine. I don't remix anyway, or something to that matter. So basically saying, like, you know what, you need to bring in someone else's production in order to try to win this match, but I'm gonna just let my music speak for myself. And that's what I loved about the whole thing. It was like they were just throwing subtle jabs at each other, and I don't know how Babyface has managed to stay calm throughout the whole situation, but yeah, he was cool, calm, and collected throughout the whole situation. Even when all the mess was going, he would just sit there like, Yeah, but you could probably see he was just, probably irritated on the inside, but some people don't like the show, which I think is brilliant. That's how you keep going in business for so long, if you don't show people your hand that you're mad over some stuff. But I did love it, and I love the fact that, when Babyface had the Grammys lit in the background with the candles and stuff. And I also had to say, you know what, they broke the internet yesterday, because I remember at one point when Babyface had to log out and log back in because, Instagram for some reason only gives you an hour to go IG live. And when he shut it off to go back in, and I went and I pressed the live to watch it again, um Teddy Riley couldn't log back in. So apparently they must have broke the internet, because they had 500,000 viewers watching this yesterday. So black excellence, black music, black everything broke the internet. And I live for it, to see the fact that that talent came together, and that's what people were tuning in for, and not BS from influencers and all the crap that you see that's spread all over social media that people like to pay attention to. That the fact that we saw two talented men come together in the name of creativity and putting up their catalog. So hopefully after all of this, that people are um going on their iTunes or their Spotify or whatever, and that they're actually downloading and listening to this catalog from these men. And another thing I was thinking of, I think verses should kind of be like an ongoing thing, like lip sync battle. Like, let's move it beyond producers. Bring singers in. Like, I want to see a verses with two R&B singers. Who could we put up? Usher versus Chris Brown. Like, this is me throwing stuff out there. Or I was gonna say Britney versus Christina, but that's two different lanes. Like, Britney's the dancer and the performer, and then you have Christina Aguilera, who's the singer. So if they could do something like that, where we have verses, where you have versus your two favorite R&B singers versus your two favorite female pop singers, two of your favorite male singers, but you can have the Backstreet Boys go up against NSYNC. Who knows? Like, let's get something like that going, where we have like the hits versus the hits. But then again, Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC probably wouldn't be fair, because the Backstreet Boys is still putting out music, whereas NSYNC pretty much split up the moment that Justin Timberlake decided to go solo. So that might not be a fair match. So let's move on to Madonna. So apparently people are worrying about her well-being, because they're saying, like, the stuff, speaking of Instagram, she's been posting some things on Instagram basically showing herself hanging out with her family, her kids and everything. But then she does some things on IG that's questionable, like she's singing into a brush, talking about fried fish, and then she's doing another video where she's in the bathtub butt naked and talking about that the Rona is the great equalizer. Mind you, one of her really good friends, Debbie Mazur, who she's known since back in the True Blue days, or maybe even earlier than that, wound up getting this virus. So when you put stuff out there like that and people are looking at you, oh, you're in your porcelain tub with rose petals thrown all up in there, and you're speaking, from you're perched and speaking from your place of privilege, people looking at you like, what the hell is wrong with this woman and what she's talking about? And I feel like since this whole Madam X thing has been going on, I don't know what's going on with Madonna. Like, I feel like she's had it together, and we've seen little things here and there, be as a fan, that I've questioned, but now seeing it seems like it's become more and more out there through the whole Madam X era. And I did love the Madam X album. However, I don't think it just registered with a lot of people, and I don't know what's going on with the tour. The tour was a mess. She kept canceling. I get it. You're 61 years old. You had an injury. There's a lot that's been going on with that. So I get it. Like, you're a 61-year-old woman. You can't do the stuff that you did when you were 21 or 31 or 41, even 51. Like, Madonna was in her 50s, was out here doing stuff dance wise and performance wise that the Ariana Grandes and stuff, or people that age, couldn't even do, or hasn't even attempted to do. So kudos to her for actually sticking it out there and stuff. But I just feel like, with all the it just seems a little desperate in what she's doing. And from what I was reading is that she hasn't been the same since Liz Rosenberg, her longtime publicist, retired a couple of years back. So I don't know. And then even I heard that Rosie O'Donnell, when she was being interviewed by Howard Stern, there was a clip that I saw, because there was another clip that I posted on my that I did for my podcast, where she was talking about there was a whole different conversation that she was talking about, when she was talking about her time on The View. That's the one I use. But now this is the first time I'm seeing this clip that I saw earlier, where she was basically talking about she was basically asked if she could go and talk to Madonna and tell her things that everybody else can't, because it seems like a lot of people in her camp are afraid to tell Madonna that, girl, you need to calm down. What are you doing? Like, you're acting crazy. Um, but Rosie said that she, in fact, can go up to Madonna and tell her. She said at one time she even told a story, excuse me, that she went to Madonna's New Year's Eve party, and she basically said that Madonna was walking around this party where a lot of people were with. She was topless and basically had black straps covering her breasts. And she basically went and gave her a hug and was like, girl, I love you, but you don't need to be having your tits out. Like, put a fucking shirt on. And to me, it's like, I agree with her on that. And it has nothing to do with your age. It has nothing to do, oh, you're 61 years old. You shouldn't be walking around with your tits out. My thing is this. You're 61 years old. You don't need to have your tits out. You're Madonna, bitch. And take it from the Madonna Rusical that I just saw a couple of, what was it, last week? Which, by the way, I have to say was my all-time favorite Rusical episode. Like, that was just, it was funny. I just loved it. I just loved everything about it. I'm not going to go into a full breakdown of it because then I have to do a whole nother video doing that. Maybe I will do that. But I love the Madonna Rusical that they did on Drag Race. But anyway, with that being said, I think that at 61 years old, Madonna, you're a legend. You've been making music and you've been a performer for almost 4 decades. You've inspired so many young girls and so many gay men and so many people in the pop industry that you don't need to walk around your house at a party with your boobs out or just doing crazy. You don't need to pull stunts and crazy antics in order to get attention. Like, you have an amazing body of work. You are an icon. Your music catalog speaks for itself. And I want to give a shout out to so many YouTubers who are out there who actually take the time to revisit Madonna's catalog, and these are like kids, people who aren't really familiar with Madonna's music, but have fallen in love with her over the past couple of years, that are revisiting her musical catalog and are looking at her videos based on recommendations from Madonna fans, and they're reacting to it, and they're getting the essence of who she is as an artist and performer. So shout out to a lot of the younger generation who are starting to come around and appreciate Madonna and her music. And I just wish someone in her camp would see these videos and actually show it to her, to show that, you know what, you don't need to go on with these crazy antics in order to get attention or for people to even remember you. And what I was hearing is that she has a fear of people looking at her as being irrelevant. And it's like, you're not irrelevant. Stop listening to these haters. Stop listening to these people out here who don't have an iota of the talent or the work ethic that you have, and just realize that as long as the younger generations who are coming up and who are performing use you as a springboard and say, like, you know what, Madonna's inspired me, then you don't have to worry about what everyone else thinks. And so that's all I have to say on that. But last but certainly not least, I want to give a shout out to Tamar Braxton, who has a brand new reality show coming out called To Catch a Beautician. Now, that, for some reason, To Catch a Beautician rubs me the wrong way because it reminds me of To Catch a Predator, which was a show I used to watch way back in the day on NBC with Chris Matthews. Used to go, was it Chris Matthews? I forget the guy's name. But when they used to catch child molesters in the act of trying to meet up with a young kid, but it was always an adult posing as a child. And then with the texting and the phone calls and this, that, and the other, and then they would put the kid in, and then all of a sudden he would walk out, and then all of a sudden they walk in and be like, so what you doing? What you trying to do? And that used to always just crack me up. But anyway, besides that title, the show is gonna appear on VH1 next month. And now, basically, according to Variety, and I'm going to read you the synopsis, the Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter is partnering with celebrity hairstylist Johnny Wright on the series that debuts on May 25th. The duo will help clients confront the beautician who damaged their hair. Wright then puts the stylist through a hair boot camp before giving them the chance to redeem themselves by redoing their disgruntled client's hair. So now, hearing about this, I have to say, this sounds like a really good concept. I think I'll probably be watching it on account of I want to see them do a whole situation of, oh, you done fucked up my hair. Oh, you done messed up my hair. And now seeing this whole situation. But I don't know if I'd be crazy enough to allow someone who fucked up my hair the first time to redo it again. Because to be honest, like, I'm already upset. Like, me being stuck in this quarantine, I haven't got my hair cut in almost a month and a half. And I'm very particular about my hair. Like, it took me, I remember when I moved to LA, it literally took me 6 months to find a barber that I was comfortable enough with, that I was like, you know what, you're doing a good enough job. I trust you enough to cut my hair. I've tried out different people, and I'm always a little skeptical when it's trying out people. Like, I literally go through a whole situation of panic before I let people cut my hair. And then when I moved back to New York, it was the same way. Like, I felt a certain kind of way where I was just nervous of, trying to find barbers and this, that, and the other. But then when I was in Midtown and I went to a barbershop that charged me $27, I was like, oh, hell no. Like, that's way too high for a haircut that I may or may not be satisfied with. But finally, I found a barber that I'm comfortable with. And then he had cut my hair 3 times when I finally found out both. And then this situation happens, and I haven't been to the barbershop because barbershops everywhere is shut down. So, yeah, so that's all I gotta say on that. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing seeing this show, and I think it's gonna be coming on the same night as Love and Hip Hop and the Tiny and Ti show that they have. So I'll definitely be checking that show, and I'll probably give a review on it. But it sounds interesting. And Tamar, to me, while she is an amazingly talented singer, she's also, like, to me, it was like we love her more as a personality, so that works for her. And speaking of which, what is going on with that talk show? When are you supposed to have a talk show with Steve Harvey? I don't know what's happening with that. But anyway, that's all I got to say on that. And also, I'm hearing that movie theaters are supposed to be opening. Well, they're saying they're opening in Georgia as early as next week, but I'm hearing a lot of theaters say they're not going to open, despite what their governor says. And in what I'm hearing from my AMC sources is that they're looking to open up as early as June. Now, I don't know how they're going to make this work. Are we going to go and do the whole 50% of theater capacity situation that they were doing before the theaters closed? Due to, the mandate from our governor, Cuomo, I don't know, like, how they're going to work this out. But to be honest, it's like, unless we can get a hold on this virus and we can prevent people from getting sick, I think we need to start keeping places open until we can work it on out. So that's all I got to say on that. I really miss going to the movies and hanging out with my friends and doing my movie reviews, which I was hoping to do a lot more of this year. But, shit happens, and I'm hoping that we can get through this soon. But anyway, thank you all for watching and sticking to the end of this video. I'm going to continue to try to put up more videos as much as I possibly can. Thank you all for tuning in. Definitely click like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I definitely would like to hear from you based on opinions on this. Love you all for watching. Ciao, darlings.